We are ready to roll. This is a packed show.
Once again, yeah. And we're never lacking for content on the show, especially as breaking news, both statewide and nationally, continues to happen. So.
Oh, it is off the charts. And we'll give you a quick little update on what we're going to do here. We'll start with the Kirk stuff real quickly, go through a few things. But I want to take it from a little different angle here, because I think as we've watched what's happened over the past few days, we have seen, I think, something become very clear in this country, and that is we have leaders who are more than willing to stoke fear between citizens to get their own political gain. And we have a local example of it that is crystal clear, and it is incredibly disheartening. And so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some leaders who I think are missing the boat clearly. Then we're going to talk about one that may surprise you. We're going to play a little bit of what he said, and he's somebody that you would never associate with us jumping on and saying, hey, well done. The messaging seems to be a bit better, and so we will do that. We'll talk about those sorts of things as well. And it's not just that. We're going to go through a bunch of other things here. One, the mayor of Albuquerque is trying to pull something that is flabbergasting to me. He is going out and trying to basically work his way into the television stations, have them run his State of the City address, pay them to do it with your money, by the way, right before the election. So it's craziness, right? And so we decided to do a deep dive on this. We decided to look at, when have they run this before? When have they run this State of the City before? Do they run it on TV? They do. Does it happen right before an election? You may be surprised. And why would the television stations agree to do this? We took a further deep dive. How are the television stations doing money-wise? Are they desperate for the money? The answer is heck yes, and you won't believe some of the numbers we have. You're going to be absolutely flabbergasted when you think and see the numbers that we're going to break down for you. They're absolutely unbelievable. So we'll do that as well. We're going to talk about a little bit about the special session here, a little bit about the governor deciding that she wants to provide free childcare for everybody, for people that have a lot of money in the state, right? Is that a great idea? What might be a better idea? We'll break that down.
And why is she doing it?
Right. Why is she doing it? Absolutely. And then we'll break down what's going on the presidential front. We'll look at some of President Trump's numbers, why they may be teetering a bit, and why there may be some hope for the economy. We'll get to details on that. Plus, men and women look at having a family very differently now. And we're seeing some of these numbers, and they are surprising. And so we'll do that. We have some UFO information, and of course, Sunday game day. So we are going to move quickly because we have a massively packed show, but I couldn't bear to pull anything out for you, if you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I just couldn't do it.
I know. I'm just hoping you can punch it all over there. Okay?
Yeah, I know.
So
me punching it's going to be a disaster.
So again, Ella is busy.
I don't know. Ella, she really. Oh, by the way, before we get one other thing, the shirt. Look at the shirt.
And you have to stand up.
The cats.
I was going to mention it, but you couldn't see it where you were sitting.
There it is.
He's very proud of the cat shirt.
Oh, my gosh.
And the back says faith over fear, by the way. It's a very cool shirt.
Which I love that. Hold on.
Yeah. Faith over fear. Yeah, it's very cool.
Love it. So we have a lot of friends in Lovington. Mm-hmm. And Dina, who happens to cut my hair, is from Lovington. She went down to Lovington and said, you got to have a cat shirt. Yeah. And she got it. And we get a lot of shirts. This one's a great shirt. I mean, this is going to the top of the lineup. This thing is comfortable. It fits.
You're going to wear it to the gym. I mean,
I'll do whatever.
You'll wear it all the time.
Yeah, we got 2 in a row. I mean, we got obviously
the Bulldogs, and then now you got the cats.
Brantley's helping us out with the Bulldog shirt, which was killer.
Yeah.
And then this one, oh my gosh, come on, Artesia, Lovington. I'm loving this. All right. I don't know where the rest of the state is.
Maybe I need to start just writing people and asking them to bring me some clothing. I don't know.
Maybe a possibility.
It's different clothing. I think that would look better on me.
See,
but
I'm a little easier. Yeah,
you are. You got a little different style.
Let's get to it. Some of the breaking news here.
Yeah, breaking news. Obviously, the suspect has in the Charlie Kirk shooting has been arrested. Tyler Robinson is the alleged shooter. And just for background information on this, he was turned in by his parents. I mean, his dad.
His dad, yeah.
Who was a sheriff, a former sheriff.
A former, yeah. Now he's a construction guy, but yeah.
Right. So what's interesting that came out today is that he was actually this alleged shooter, Tyler Robinson, was living with his transgender partner in Utah, and now both of these folks are cooperating with police, but not, I mean, I guess not overly shocking. This is what a lot of people were talking about, that this could have been.
There was a transgender connection. Then some people said, you can't say that. You can't.
Right.
And then it took some time. And then now it appears that they are living together. And there have been some comments from both his family, Robinson's family, and the person that he lived with, Lance Twiggs.
Right.
Okay. Both families apparently there'd been some real separation between the Twig and Robinson and their families because of some of what was happening here. So I think what this turns out to be is two young people who end up down a very dark rabbit hole of an ideology that ended up pushing them toward murder.
Right. And I think what's, when you start to look in a little bit of what we've been doing with Tyler Robinson's background and his family upbringing, it's actually kind of terrifying because he looks like his parents look like they were normal. It was like a healthy family they went on family vacations. They had a very good upbringing. I believe they're a family of faith.
Yeah, Mormon
faith
family, yeah.
In Utah. And then what happens? What happens to this kid who leaves home and suddenly just goes down a very dark path?
And he had a scholarship, a full ride scholarship to college, lasted a semester. Big into gaming. You start going down these various rabbit holes that we see reoccurring over and over again.
Right.
And then I think he definitely looked at Charlie Kirk as someone who, as he looked at his lifestyle, said he needed to silence him. So he's big. Apparently, this Tyler Robinson was Mr. Anti-Fascist. So Mr. Anti-Fascist brings a gun, and Charlie Kirk brings a microphone. Who's the fascist? Really?
Right.
Okay,
right.
He's the fascist. Tyler Robinson is the fascist, clearly. Right? It's not hard. It's not hard to know that. And so now you see what's happening here. So who knows what's going to happen with him and how this all plays out. What I mean by that is, what is his punishment? We don't know.
Right.
I mean, we'll see.
The governor did say that they would seek the death penalty. I mean, before they knew
but
what it was.
But here's the thing. He's not going to be charged. He's not going to be charged in the state court. He's going to be charged federally, right? Which the feds have the death penalty as well.
Right.
So we'll see what ends up happening. But the governor was pretty emotional. Governor Cox was pretty emotional. And again, a lot of people started getting on Governor Cox because he and Charlie Kirk ended up crossways on some various things, and is a family who ended up crossways with Charlie Kirk in an election. We did too. Doesn't mean you don't support him and don't think that what happened to him was absolutely horrendous.
I mean, I think that's the biggest difference here is that you don't, and kind of what I was talking to my students about, it doesn't matter if you were a fan or you disagreed with Charlie Kirk. Yeah. Right? It doesn't matter.
Oh,
this man does not deserve to be, killed while speaking in the public square.
Yeah.
Like, that's where we have seemed to lost our humanity. And it's exhausting kind of to see. I've actually kind of shut down on social media because I really can't, I just can't take one more post about that basically Charlie Kirk deserved this, or he brought this on himself.
And we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to the reaction, because the reaction is beyond. If you go look, it's so much reaction here. Yes, there are most people are normal human beings who look at things and say, this is a terrible tragedy, no matter what you think. It doesn't matter what you think of his political beliefs. If someone went and took a shot at, name your liberal activist or left activist, who cares who it is, whatever.
AOC, for crying out loud. I mean, she can make people's blood boil.
If AOC was killed, it would be awful.
Right.
It'd be awful. And so
it goes against who we are as Americans. And I think that's what somehow we're losing sight of.
But too many people, as you go and watch this stuff, are thrilled with it. Are absolutely thrilled with it. You're disgusting if you're thrilled with this. You're a horrible human being if you're thrilled with this. You just are. You've lost the thread, and you've lost your little piece of humanity. And the internet has turned you into a monster. It's turned you into someone who's disconnected from reality. Because if you're sitting there and you see someone get attacked right in front of you, or shot or killed, or God forbid, whatever it is, and you think it's good because you don't like them politically, you've let evil into your soul. And this is something where those of us who are Christians, it's incumbent upon us to continue to push the message of Christ, because that is what our lives are based around. That's what Charlie's life was based around. And if you watch him, and we've talked about our dust up with him, right? But at the same time, over the past 2 or 3 years, as we've watched him at campuses, we started to go, this is really impressive what he's done.
Well, he was definitely a key influencer in the younger generation, by far.
Yeah.
And I would say he was probably the biggest political influence, especially for the conservative students out there. And so, you have to give him credit where credit is due.
Absolutely.
And I think, again, just because you don't agree with everything he has to say does not mean that this is something that he was, it was his due, so to speak.
Okay.
And that really bothers me when people get into that kind of stuff. And another thing I want to just add really fast is a lot of argument going out there, once again, not shockingly, about gun control. And honestly, I'm just over that. I'm like, there's 400 million guns in the United States. Okay, so enough of that. It's not going away. Guns aren't going away. They're here, right? So you've got a kid that is mentally ill, and something has to be taken. Real change with mental illness has to change. Nothing else is going to change these criminals. Nothing. You could take away every single gun. I mean, the guy on the train in Charlotte, that was a knife, right? So it's like there's enough mental illness that's happening. It's not, I'm so tired of the gun control conversation. I'm sick of it. It doesn't stop what's happening when people are not stable, that are on our streets and putting other people's lives at risk. Yeah. So I'm tired of that one. I don't want any more comments about that.
Okay, you're done with that. You're not hearing
done with that.
Okay. So I want to take this in a little bit of a different direction. And that is, I want to talk about our leaders using rhetoric that is over the top to incite people that are out of control, which is exactly what happened here. Somebody who does not have his mental faculties, who is off the reservation. And sadly now, if you watch comments about all this, there seem to be a lot of people off the reservation. So it is incumbent upon good leaders to stand up and say, enough, I won't do this. I will not use this type of rhetoric, because we've seen the increasing violence happen in correlation with this rhetoric. So here is Nancy Pelosi in classic Nancy Pelosi fashion, making sure she won't take any responsibility for anything. So she says, I can't be held responsible for what other people do.
People don't have any intention of saying something that's going to lead to something dangerous, but we cannot take responsibility for the minds that are out there and how they hear it.
And how they hear it.
Yeah, you know what you can take responsibility for is making sure that what you say and what you put out there in the first place is responsible language and responsible. I mean, I'm sorry, how many times are you going to say that democracy is at stake, that, there's a Nazi regime happening again, using that kind of language over and over and over? I think common sense Americans can sit back and be like, enough of all this drama. They can do that, right? But you got enough people out there that are not mentally stable that they hear this, they think, oh, I'm the one that's supposed to go save the day. I'm the one that's going to go and remove this person.
I'm going to save the country.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and remove this person. And you look at somebody like Charlie Kirk, who was not a violent guy, and he's using a microphone. And so you have somebody who's using a microphone, and then you have a 22-year-old unhinged individual who shows up with a rifle. I mean,
you're on the wrong side of this, clearly, and she won't take any responsibility. And so many people on the far left done the same thing. The whole party has just gone to the "you're a Nazi" routine, and again, that has impact. It caused an attempt on President Trump's life twice. And it caused some other, Lee Zeldin. It caused all sorts of people to become targets. Okay, and it continues to happen. So to sit there and say, "Well, we can't do anything about how people hear it." Yes, you can. And this is my thing. I think what we've got here is we have a decay in leadership. We have people who have no business being anywhere near leadership in this country. And believe me, there are some on the Republican side too. Believe me, there are. Okay, but the violence right now is much more weighted to far leftists right now. This is what's happening. It's happening right in front of you. And you can bring up other examples. There's no doubt there have been other examples. But I think what you're seeing here is you're seeing this revolutionary thought, right? I'm going to be a revolutionary.
Right.
So I'm going to go wipe these people out. And sometimes they try to wipe out Democrats too. But this revolutionary thought, that revolutionary thought is on, they're leftists. That's what they are. It's anti-Israel. It's everybody who disagrees with them is Hitler, right? We see it all the time. Okay.
Right.
So you watch that, and to me, that's the scariest thing. And I think we have an incredible example of it right here in New Mexico. Because I went and saw a Facebook post, and one of my very close friends sent me a Facebook post from one of the most powerful people in the state of New Mexico. This is him. Okay, do you know who this is?
It's Javier Martinez, I
It
believe,
is.
right?
Yeah, he's Speaker of the House.
Speaker of the House.
They don't get much more powerful than this guy. Okay? He's more powerful than me and you and everybody within the sound of our voice, save Michelle Lujan Grisham. Okay? Probably the second most powerful person in the state of New Mexico. He is not being targeted. He is the guy who determines what gets passed in many cases in the House of Representatives in the state of New Mexico. So he's got a lot more say about your life than you have on his. And that's just a fact. But let's just listen to what he said, and you can read his Facebook post.
My old man, my kid, and I all fit Ice Barbie's definition of what being, quote, illegal looks like. First, no human is, quote, illegal. Second, read a GD book. I'm just going to bleep that. Although, can she read? Doubtful. Third, my dad has done more to build this country than any of those fascist clowns combined. He is way more American than any of them. Fourth, if you hate my people and or enable that dirty sewer rat in the White House, go kick a rock, with all due respect to sewer rats. Javier Martinez, Speaker of the House, and bad hombre. Yes, this immigrant is the Speaker of New Mexico House. Choke on that, haters. P.S. I might be my ancestors' wildest dream, but I'm also a fascist's worst nightmare. Bring it.
Okay.
Tough guy.
All right. Yeah. First of all, the false bravado aside, which is just stupid and clownish. I don't even, let's not even address that portion of it from Javier Martinez. But what he says here, it various times in this post is exactly what I'm talking about. Mentions fascists. It mentions people not wanting him to be Speaker of the House in the state of New Mexico. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? You've been elected Speaker. You've been elected to your House seat, and then by your peers elected Speaker. You're one of the most powerful people in the state. What are you talking about? I mean, I know he's taking shots at the federal government at the beginning of this, and Kristi Noem. I get all that, and insulting her for her looks. I get it. Javier, I know. I know the Brad Pitt of New Mexico, I guess, because you can go and sit there and insult people for their looks, which is stupid. Stop it. Grow up. You're our representative. You're in charge of helping run our legislature. But you then start using things like, they don't want people like me, the others. You try to create yourself as a victim.
If you hate my people, what is he talking about?
Yeah, your people. Look, the fact of the matter is, you're as powerful as it gets, but you go and write things like this and try to act like you're the victim of something. When the fact of the matter is, the last thing we need is people that act like this in leadership. Grow up, guy. I mean, you sound like a failed theater kid where you're like, everybody hates me. Everyone hates me and my family. No, they don't. No, they don't. You've been wildly successful here. In fact, if you did your job, maybe we wouldn't be last in education, first in violent crime, and had no doctors. How about you do that, brother? And I know you're a tough guy and you're a bad hombre. Yeah, you're a bad hombre at doing things that actually help people's lives. So stop with your, I'm a victim routine. You're not a victim. The victims are the people you represent that you don't help because you have a huge chance to make a difference, brother. But right now, you seem more interested in having people read your cheap shot words and get angry. And when they do, they don't have the control you do. There are people out there within the sound of your voice, Javier, who can't control themselves and may do something over the line. That isn't necessarily directly your fault, but when you use language like this, it becomes an issue. So stop trying to incite people. Realize that you're the power. You're the guy with all the power. I don't have any. Doesn't matter what I say. Doesn't matter what Kristi says. Doesn't matter what any Republican in Santa Fe says. What matters is what you do. But instead of actually doing something to improve people's lives, you decide you're going to write a ridiculous screed like this. Grow up, guy. We don't have the time for it. We've raised kids in this state, and now what are we doing when they get old enough to graduate? We send them out. They leave.
Mm-hmm. And they don't come back.
And they don't come back. And too often, you have people that show up like this and are more interested in performance art than actually helping someone. And the problem is your performance art is just that. But someone else's performance art can be deadly. So grow up, handle your business, and help the people you were elected to help, no matter their party.
And I think it's also deflection of any responsibility whatsoever, right? So it's like, hey, don't talk to me about what we're failing at or what we're not doing well. I'm the victim here. Let me feel sorry for myself. Let me go on and on. And I mean, when I saw this, I was like, what's he even talking about?
Yeah,
like, why is he in this day and time making himself into being a victim? I mean, we raise our kids, never be a victim. Never make yourself a victim, right? And I mean, when they start to feel sorry for themselves under any set of circumstances, we nip it in the bud. Javier needs to nip it in the bud because it's not helpful. And it's also, it can add fuel to a fire. I teach rhetoric in a high school that says your rhetoric can either incite and scare people and get people stoked up for better or for worse, right? What are you trying to do? Like, what's your end game? What, you still want the illegals on the street here that are criminals? Is that what you're vouching for? Like, I'm super confused on what you're even trying to go to bat for. It's not helpful at all. And in fact, it's hurtful. So,
well, and I think at the end of the day, though, Javier's son, he'll get the best of the best. Don't kid yourself. He will get the best of the best. The poor family in the South Valley that can barely make ends meet, they're the ones who need his help. They're the ones who need him to address critical issues in the state of New Mexico and not bloviate about his garbage and pull his tough hombre routine. Okay? Nobody cares about your tough hombre routine. How about you care about the kids who can't get a good education? How about you care about the family that can't get to the end of the month, could desperately need help from the state of New Mexico in the respect of, hey, put a little more money back in their pocket. Allow them to afford maybe some school for their kids, some additional tutoring. How about that, brother? How about that?
Or people that actually just need a doctor.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
Okay.
Anyway,
okay. So you get all this craziness, and then there's a lot of stuff. I know you were on Twitter during this whole process.
Well, yeah, and I just think, that's why it started to get very disheartening, is because when there's a lot of support, obviously, for Charlie Kirk and his family. There's, hundreds of thousands of supporters out there. But when you start to see just the negative out there over and over and over, it makes you sick, and it makes you start to lose heart for our country. But here is a tweet that we pulled from Chef Andrew Gruel. And basically, I feel like this just kind of spoke very loudly to what I was feeling. It says, the past few days have revealed a harsh truth. Deeply cruel people are not rare or fringe. They celebrate death and malice, and they're everywhere. Your local salon, elementary school, library, or baseball league. This isn't just about differing beliefs. It reflects a profound moral decay in many. Too many people refuse to believe that. And I just think, people were flooding us with toxic tweets from school board people and teachers and professors who were celebrating his death. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? Literally. And somebody compared it. They said when JFK was assassinated, there were plenty of people that disagreed with him politically. Nobody was out there celebrating the death of Kennedy.
But the problem is now we have so much more access to everybody's thoughts on their phone, where they feel like there's this weird wall where they can be completely and totally callous. And it's destroying the society. The problem is those words that it's almost like your id, right? It's like your id is coming out. And there's so many of us, every one of us on this planet has thought things that are horrendous, right? And that we're not proud of and we're embarrassed about. But now, more and more of those thoughts, they come flowing out. And then people just throw them out there. And what it does is it slowly decays the society. And that's where we are. And that is incredibly scary. Incredibly scary. So this is a broader view of, I think, where we are as a country. And I want you to listen to Noah Rothman, because I think he's a super interesting, very smart guy who's writing a book right now about sort of what's happening with sort of the violence epidemic that is starting to take over again. And he puts it into revolutionary terms, that there are these people who think they are revolutionaries. And it's incredibly dangerous. So it's a little over a minute long, but he is really smart guy. And what he says here, I think, is something that will make you smarter. It definitely made me smarter when I listened to it.
These events continues to tick up. You've seen, and we've talked about on this network, the degree to which in just the last few years you have increasing evidence that we are in a new age of assassination and political violence. The attempt on Brett Kavanaugh's life, the 2 attempts on Donald Trump's life, the attempt on Lee Zeldin's life, the attacks on pregnancy centers, and GOP aides in Marco Rubio's case because he was a GOP aide, to say nothing of the anti-Semitic violence that we've seen, which has targeted Democrats too. I mean, what Democratic lawmakers were besieged in November of 2023 in the DNC. One lawmaker from Illinois said they had to be rescued by law enforcement.
Josh Shapiro's home.
Josh Shapiro's home. Dozens of it. And then you have Luigi Mangione and the assassination of Brian Thompson, a figure who found himself on prayer candles, celebrated at concerts, whose name was condemned by Democratic lawmakers, and yet appended a very pregnant butt. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Chris Murphy, all of whom said, but you have to understand where he was coming from. You have to understand this anger. Maybe it's an anger we can harness. No. These are not your friends. These are America's enemies. They're your enemies. And you cannot channel and harness their anger towards productive ends. They must be defeated until we have the resolve to call what we're looking at by its name. Revolutionary, romantic zeal in service to anti-capitalist and anti-Western causes. Then we're going to get more of it, like we did in the 60s and 70s, like we did in the 1910s and 1920s. That's right. We're in the midst of that very same cycle.
What did you think about what?
That's right. Too many leaders right now think they can ride the lightning. They think they can be like, no, we don't want to say too much to make them mad. We want to give them the butt monkey, right? Oh, but I know they're wrong, but no. And I think he's exactly right. And it's very, very interesting take. And I think that's exactly where we are.
Right. Absolutely. I know, you put this next one in. I kind of disagreed with you on putting this in because I think Bernie Sanders has done his own wheeling and dealing to help stoke fires and help stoke socialist type, energies in this country. So I am kind of opposed to us putting this in here.
He is a socialist. He says that. But
openly.
But here's the thing. No. He can be a socialist.
I think he's also a hypocritical socialist. So I'm just putting that out there.
I agree with you. Here's my point on this.
He's a very wealthy socialist, by the way.
Right. And I don't disagree with you on any of that. But my point is that if we're going to get to a better place in this country, people who have, I think, taken the wrong approach must take the right approach. And so when you see someone take the right approach, I think, or a better approach. I don't think it was great. This is 4 minutes long, and we're not going to listen to all of it.
No, we're not.
But
I'll shut this thing down.
I will shut this thing down. But I do want to maybe listen to 45 seconds or so of Bernie Sanders. And the reason I want to listen to this is because he does take more of the right approach. And I'll let you listen to it, and then we can kind of debate it, okay? Mm-hmm. All right.
For joining me. I want to say a few words regarding the terrible murder yesterday of Charlie Kirk. Someone who I strongly disagreed with on almost every issue, but who was clearly a very smart and effective communicator and organizer, and someone unafraid to get out into the world and engage the public. My condolences go out to his wife and his family. A free and democratic society, which is what America is supposed to be about, depends upon the basic premise that people can speak out, organize, and take part in public life without fear, without worrying that they might be killed, injured, or humiliated for expressing their political views. In fact, that is the essence of what freedom is about and what democracy is about. You have a point of view, that's great. I have a point of view that is different than yours, that's great. Let's argue it out. We make our case to the American people at the local, state, and federal levels, and we hold free elections in which the people decide what they want. That's called freedom and democracy. And I want as many people as possible to participate in that process without fear. Freedom and democracy is not about political violence. It is not about assassinating public officials. It is not about trying to intimidate people who speak out on an issue. Political violence, in fact, is political cowardice. It means that you cannot convince people of the correctness of your ideas, and you have to impose them through force.
Okay, that's why I thought That was pretty good.
That's fine. Everything that he said there is fine, and I agree with it. I think that that's fine. My issue is that he actually goes on to start comparing, things that have happened, like Gretchen Whitmer's kidnapping, whatever.
I understand he was. I understand.
So listen,
Sorry.
Here's the thing.
Sorry, yeah.
He's also he was a leader in the No Kings protest, calling Trump an authoritarian.
Yep.
He's helping stoke the rhetoric. I'm sorry, but I look at this and I think, yes, everything that you're saying is true. But when you're trying to twist what happened to Charlie Kirk and say it happens on both sides of the aisle over and over and over, trying to make it equal, then like Republicans are taking out Democrats too, like it's all equal measure, right? While there is some cases of that, it's largely not what's happening, right? I think this was a political move by him. I think he's trying to twist something around and try to make it less damning for the far left, and he is a walking, breathing socialist.
Well, I agree with you.
He
can be a socialist. That's fine. That's part of this country. You get to be a socialist if you want to be. Great, go for it. Whatever. Go make that case.
Everything that you aired right there, I agree with. Everything that you said, I just wish he would act upon that.
Yep.
And not be out there and
totally
calling
agree.
Trump, this tyrannical, he's gonna, to stoking the fire.
Yeah, no, agree.
Again, if you don't agree
right.
with Trump, which he doesn't, that's fine. So argue with him on policy. Stop calling him the Nazi. Stop calling him the things. Stop doing that because it's not helpful. And so take ownership of that, Bernie Sanders. Apologize for being one of those people that said those things.
I agree with you on that.
And then I'm all in for Bernie Sanders.
Well,
okay?
well, I'm not all. I mean, I'm
not
all in on him either.
I'm not voting for the guy. I'm just saying.
I agree. I'm just saying that. My point on this is though that events happen, and I do believe the Kirk assassination is one of those events that happens that I think is something that changes the trajectory of how this country moves forward. I don't know how yet, right? It's like two I don't know, pool balls hitting on the table, and they're going to go to, I don't know which direction we're headed, right? We could be headed into a much worse place. We could be headed into a better place. But I'm just saying, I've seen enough politicians over the past couple of days say things that I just roll my eyes and go, you don't get it, and you really are pathetic, right? I look at it, so many of them. I just saw this and said, you know what? At least he's got the right tone. I like the vast majority of his message. I listened to the whole 4 minutes. You're right. He draws some equivocation in there. But I think broadly, though, I think the message was more productive. And so when that happens, I try to recognize it, because I can't stand shows where you watch them and they are just, there's no logic to it at all. There's just one side. So I want people to know when they watch this show, hey, we are watching everything. And when we see someone from a political side that we don't agree with, you still say, you know what? That makes sense, man. And I appreciate you actually saying something that makes some sense. That's all. I get that he's had this long history of being, he's an absolute dictator. And Bernie does all that. I get it. I mean, I grew up listening to the guy. He was the mayor of Burlington, Vermont.
No, he's wrapped up his oligarchy tour. I mean, come on.
Oligarchy tour. Yeah, I understand. I just think
it's a bit inauthentic.
I get it. I understand it. But I'm saying in the tallest short guy competition, he is tallest, at least from this statement.
Okay. Well, okay, fine. Okay. I'll give you that. I'll give you 1 point for that.
Okay. Thank you very much. But I absolutely don't disagree with you either. Okay. So let's get to this Darren White stuff. I want to go through this because we're running long already. So here's a look. I want to have you guys jump into the story because it's fascinating. So Darren White comes out. And he goes and files an official complaint with 2 of the 3 television stations in town because of what they are doing with the mayor's State of the City address.
In the past years, airing the speech on multiple local channels.
Sorry, I didn't give you any. So basically, Mayor Keller has paid the stations to air his State of the City address coming up here right in the center portion of the election season. Remember, the election's less than 2 months away.
Well, and early voting starts in early October.
Okay, so sorry. I'm sorry for I didn't put the earlier clip in that you could have read.
Okay. In past years, airing the speech on multiple local channels has cost the city between $20,000 to $30,000 per year, Gallego said. He did not state the cost for this year's airtime. The 30-minute speech is scheduled to run 5 times on 5 different stations. KRQE, KRQE Fox, CASA, KOAT TV.
No, Casey.
Oh, Casey.
Yeah.
Sorry.
CASA's a different station.
Oh, sorry. Casey, KOAT TV, and KWBQ TV starting in mid-September. The latest rerun is set for October 5th on KRQE, 2 weeks before the start of widespread early voting.
Unbelievable. By the way, 4 of those 5 stations are just everything that that Nexstar owns in New Mexico. So that's all one station. So they bought up basically KRQE Fox, KC, and KWBQ, which is the CW here.
Okay. White concluded his letter by asking the television stations to provide equal airtime to each candidate. With 7 qualified candidates in the mayoral race, running an equal airtime of 30 minutes each would take up a total of 17 hours and 30 minutes across the 5 stations.
Okay, so we know that is clearly not going to happen.
Right.
Right? I mean, that's all right. So the question becomes, what the first thing I thought of when I saw this story was, well, when do they usually do the state of the city? Let's assume Gallegos is right, and they always air the state of the city. First of all, if you're going to do that, again, you're costing taxpayer money to do it, but you can make a case for it, right? You can make a case that the people need to know what's going on. They buy some time so everyone can see it on the TV stations. Maybe that makes some sense, right?
Right.
Okay, so let's get to the fact when they would run these things. So I just started going back year after year. This took me literally 3 minutes. So 2024, when did they air the state of the city, and when did Keller give it, and when roughly did it air?
It looks like it was in August of 2024.
Oh,
right?
okay, August
So
17th. Okay, August. All right. So what about 2023?
Okay, 2023 says it was in
May.
Yeah, May.
May. Okay, May.
Yep.
May. Okay, so 6 months ago. Okay.
Okay, and then in 2022 it was in June.
June. Okay, so we're not nowhere September, October in there anywhere.
No, and in 2021 it was actually in March.
In March. Okay, so therefore, clearly, this is something that was pushed back and designed to help. And the mayor actually says in the state of the state that we got to stay the course. Like he campaigns for himself.
Right.
In the state of the state.
It's basically a political campaign. It's that's what this is going to be. And anybody thinks differently is not paying any attention.
That's right. And so I want to tell you now, I want to go on a deep dive on the television stations in New Mexico and in Albuquerque, because those are the only ones that really matter to us. Okay. And I want to first of all make a case. I started thinking, okay, so if we know that they got a chance to make $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, right? What would incentivize them to do that more than anything else? That would be they need the money, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so I decided to dive in, and we have enough connections here and there to figure out what's going on with what it costs and what the real ratings are in TV in New Mexico. So if you want to know how the television stations really do in their news product, you're about to see it. These are not numbers that the television stations give you. These are numbers. No. These are buyer numbers. These are numbers. If you go to them and want to buy, these are the numbers that Nielsen gives you back, and you see exactly how they're doing. So these are right. Okay, that's what I'm saying here. These aren't my opinion, and having been in that world for my whole career, you live and die off these numbers. Let me tell you. And everybody says, "Well, why did you miss the news?" You're about to see why I don't. Okay, so here we go. Now, I want to start with this. This is a graph that shows you the total audience, basically, in the Albuquerque DMA. So it's about 717,000, okay, is how the Albuquerque DMA works. That's what's counted in the Albuquerque market, 717,000 people. So what that means is one rating point means about 7,170 viewers. So when someone says, I got a rating of a 3 on my show, you got 21,000 people watching, if that's what you got, okay? So that gives you a rough idea of what every rating point means. So then I decided to dive in and say, okay, let's go back 10 years compared to today. How are the ratings at these television stations? Are they so desperate for revenue that they're going to jump into the middle of basically what amounts to a political fight? It's possible that they would if the ratings have tanked enough. So let's go with each station separately. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with KOAT, and we're going to look at 3 different rating periods: morning, evening, and late night news. Those are their bread and butter, okay? Those are the 3 time periods that more than anything else create your revenue at a television station, okay? So we start with our friends at KOAT. All right, so the bars that are in yellow are 2016 on this very time frame. Okay, we pulled the exact time frame, 2016, and then you compare them to 2025. So back in 2016, in the morning news, 6 o'clock hour, KOAT got 4.7 as a rating. That's roughly 35,000 people watched their show. Now they're at a 2.4. Okay, they're about 17,000. They've literally lost half their audience. Mm-hmm. Gone. from the morning show at KOAT. You go over to KOAT's 6 p.m. news. They used to get an 8.1. That's a good number. All right, that is a good number. That's 60,000 people roughly watching you every night at 6 p.m. Now, they're half that, 4.2. Okay, they're 30,000 people. Their bread and butter has been cut in half. If you ran a business that lost half your constituents or half your
clients
or whatever, consumers, you'd be just scrambling, and they are. Let me tell you. Okay, 10 p.m. They used to get a 5.3, roughly 40,000 people watching. They're at a 2.1. Okay, KOAT took the cash, and you can see they're trying to find other ways to make money. All right, let's go to KOB. KOB's numbers are not as dramatic, but KOB doesn't get the good numbers that the other two stations did. Okay, so KOAT had some better numbers, but if you go to KOB, their morning news got a 2.6 back in 2016. That got them about 18,000 viewers. So not nearly as much as KOAT, but now they're at a 1.8. They're under 15,000 people watching their morning show each morning. You go to the evening, they used to be at a 4.6, again, well behind KOAT, but now they're down to a 2.8. Okay, that's, again, 20,000 viewers basically watching them, okay? You go to the 10 p.m. I mean, this is abysmal. They had a 3.8, so every 10 p.m. they'd have about 27,000 viewers in 2016. Now they're down to 13,000. Okay.
Yeah, it's rough.
It gets worse. KRQE. KRQE had a 3.5 at 6 a.m. in 2016. That's about 25,000 viewers. It's a good number, actually, especially for a CBS morning show. They're down to a 0.8. They're they're basically at 5,000 viewers in the morning show. Okay. You go to the evening, 8.4 they had in 2016. We were the number one. I think I was on that show. We were at 8.
You were on that show.
Okay.
Yeah.
We got an 8.4. We had 60,000 viewers. Now they're down to a 2.8, under 20,000 viewers. That's a collapse, right? And this isn't that these stations are terrible stations necessarily. This is just showing you what viewers are doing now. And then at 10 p.m., we had a 5.6. We won, I think, 10 years in a row. We won every ratings period at the 10 p.m. show. 5.6, which is over about 40,000 viewers, down to a 2.6. So then we take one more graph. This is the percentage of audience lost in each day part for the stations in the market. Okay? So if you look at this, KOAT in the mornings has lost 49% of their viewers. KOB's lost 31%. KRQE has lost 77%. In the evenings, half of the viewers are gone from KOAT, 40% are gone from KOB, 67% are gone from KRQE. And then at the 10 o'clock, basically 50 to 60% of the viewers are gone. It's unbelievable. It really is unbelievable. So when you look at this and you say, what are they doing? They're doing a bunch of other stuff, trying to do digital, trying to do podcasts, trying to do everything they can do. Okay? But when you look at this and you tie into the fact that any chance at decent revenue they get, they're going to take it.
Right.
Because this is very difficult territory.
Especially during election seasons.
And no, that's the other thing though.
Yeah.
That what I wonder, Christy, is are candidates finally going to wake up to the fact that they just don't need to advertise as much on the television stations for news.
Right.
Because you don't have the audience.
You don't have the audience.
Now, yeah, football does. Football does. Like you'll pay them big money.
Right.
To do football. I
Right.
think, but we'll see. And I'd like to see the stations adjust some of what they do. And I think part of the issue here is that stations need to become indispensable again.
Right.
And I don't think they've done that. I don't think I think revenues have gone down. And what's happened, their staffs have shrunk. So you can do one of two things when your revenue goes down. You can say, we're going to become indispensable and raise revenue again, or we're just going to tighten up and we're going to get cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, and the quality is going to go down and down. I still think they have a chance. And these big networks like Nexstar and Hearst, they still have a chance to pivot and do good things, I think. But boy, these numbers show you that when you get a chance to get 20, 30, 40 grand into your business right now, and your business model is doing this, you got to take it. And they shouldn't be doing it. Believe me, I don't think they should be running this speech. They shouldn't do it.
No.
Shouldn't take the money. KOB's not taking the money.
Okay.
Anyway.
So that's interesting.
Yeah.
I think, they were smart in the marketing departments. They would figure out, why are we bleeding so many viewers?
Yeah.
And then secondly, maybe you look at other alternatives to spend your money on when you're running for office. Like, I don't know, a podcast?
Yeah.
Just saying. Maybe you advertise at different areas now.
No, believe me, our numbers, are you kidding me?
I know, our numbers are so good.
I know.
Our numbers are
I know,
so
I'm starting
good.
to go, oh my gosh.
I look at this and I'm like, why is anybody, come to us. We'll
we
some ads.
haven't taken advertisers, but I mean,
We haven't yet, but we might start.
Well,
people,
yeah,
so.
who knows? We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But anyway, okay, we are way over. So I want you to hit this story.
Really quickly, we'll just hit this. The governor announced the universal child care for all kids that the state will pay the bill. Basically, even if families are making well-to-do, right, they're going to cover it. So now it's a universal child care program. And the question becomes here's just a little quick clip of it. It says, starting this fall, New Mexico will become the first state in the nation to launch a universal child care system, providing no-cost child care for all families statewide. The initiative, announced Monday by the governor, is set to take effect November 1st and marks the latest step in the governor's effort to dramatically expand child care assistance in New Mexico. Basically, it says specifically it will remove an existing income threshold of 400% of the federal poverty level in order to receive child care assistance eligibility, paving the way for an additional 12,000 children statewide to qualify for no-cost child care. Now, just as a quick background, this was already provided to families who desperately needed it, right? So now we're tapping into allowing this for all families, even if you don't need it, even if you can financially afford your own child care help. So my issue with this is a couple-fold, really fast. Number one, who's paying for it, right? Because there's no such thing as free anything, right? Number two, I think that she's doing this obviously to get on national news outlets and try to get some national attention, some press attention. She's getting that. So it's working in her favor for that. Number three, I just think this sounds like a socialist program. It sounds like, hey, we're going to just be providing everything for you all the time. Just stay, with government assistance, and we're going to take care of everything. And where is the work? Like, you have to work to enable to get this. Like, I don't see any stipulations on that.
Of course not.
And I think what's even more frustrating is this didn't go through the state legislature to approve it.
Right.
This was just signed in.
They will have to approve some money for it, but you're right. So far, it's...
And who pays for it? I mean, who's funding most of our budget? Oil and gas. People wake up. It's oil and gas.
No, I disagree with you on that.
They go after oil and gas. Hold on. They go after oil and gas people. Yeah, you just wait a second. They go after oil and gas constantly whenever they're running an election. Oh, the oil and gas, that's terrible for blah, 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 blah. And yet they spend the oil and gas money. That's what they do. They fund programs like this. I'm just like, then if you're going to keep, it's like, okay, you cannot speak out of both sides of your mouth. You can't trash talk oil and gas and then go spend all the oil and gas money.
Okay.
I'm sorry. But that's
fine.
ridiculous.
I might make a different argument. Which is forget oil and gas. Good for you guys. I love oil and gas, clearly.
Well, I
but you know what?
understand
No. It's rich families having their childcare paid for by low-income families. It's all state money. We're all paying into the pot. There are people that are making $25 an hour that are paying into the pot here, and they're going to cover some $1 million a year banker's kid going to childcare? Why? Why should they do that? That's why we have income thresholds for these things. But my argument would be different on this. And that would be that I think what we have to do here is when you create another huge program and you say, here, we'll dole out just enough for you. Here's just enough to keep you exactly where you are. That's not what we need to be doing. We should be going to the legislature and our friend Javier Martinez and go to him and say, Javier, let's eliminate the New Mexico income tax, especially for every family under $100,000 a year. If we do that, that's an immediate 5% raise for every low-income family in this state. Those families are already getting the free childcare. And then you are going to bring more business into the state of New Mexico. Go across the board. Wipe out the income tax. You can afford to do it. It'll cost about $1 billion a year. And then what will happen is the state will grow, actually, and it'll cost you far less than $1 billion a year, and every New Mexican will make 5% more than they do right now. But by doing that, that doesn't fit the Big Brother model.
No.
The big government, Big Brother model.
'Cause you might
that gives you the power, not the government the power.
Right, exactly. And that is, it is buying, it is trying to trick you into staying on government assistance. At the end of the day, they're like, now we don't just want the kids that can't afford it. We want all the kids. We're going to take care of all the kids.
Okay.
Enough.
Yeah, no, okay. All right, so some quick stuff here. Harry Enton is back. We got him back here, by the way, And he's talking about the president's numbers, okay? And he's saying the president's numbers aren't good but we're going to take a little different take on this. So let's just listen to a couple seconds of what he says about President Trump's numbers.
And look how long Donald Trump's net approval rating has been negative. It has been every day since March 12th in the average of polls. We're talking about 181 days in a row in which Donald Trump has been underwater swimming with the fishes. There is no good data for Donald Trump when looking at the aggregate and looking overall. He has been negative for a very long period of time, the vast majority of his second presidency.
What about the issues?
Okay, what about the issues? You see this here, right? Is there any shining light? Is there any light at the end of the tunnel? Well, look at the issues. Look at this. These are all the key issues. Donald Trump is underwater on all of them. Trade, obviously, tariffs have been a big thing at the bottom of your list, minus 17 points. The economy, which was the reason he was elected to his second term to fix the economy, way underwater at minus 14 points. Foreign policy, minus 12. And then I think, Mr. John Berman, the key two issues at the top, because these have been Donald Trump's strongest issues, crime and immigration. But get this. He is now underwater on both of these issues, if barely, but he's underwater on crime at -2, immigration at -3.
So I want to stop right there for just a second, and I want a couple things. So I'm curious more about the actual issues, right, that he's talking about here. I think let's start with the economy, because those are the ones where he's more deeply underwater. Okay, and then I'll let you address the immigration situation. But the economy issue is interesting because I think what you're going to see this week, and actually, late this week, I think, we're going to start to see interest rate cuts. So that's what we've been talking about. Can that start to help things? Scott Bessent, the president, says, listen, we start to cut interest rate, things will be looking better. That could be something on the economy front where you start to see things move a bit better, and mortgage rates now are starting to come down, not only in anticipation of the cut, but because of a variety of other things that are happening as well. So that could well start to address things on the economy. We'll have to wait and see. Don't know yet. Those numbers are tough. But then you look at the numbers on, law enforcement and especially immigration, and that's an interesting battle. And I think something happened earlier last week that was sort of illustrative of what may be happening here.
Right. I would just say, again, not only with certain leaders that are, taking their cheap shots at what Trump is trying to do, which is to try to make this a safer country as far as getting the criminals out of the country, right? You have the media jumping in, shockingly, also trying to undermine anything that they're trying to do, right? So let's just play a little clip here. Not too shocking. It's on MSNBC, but let's take a look.
And the one thing about this, Mika Brzezinski, what she's talking about at the beginning of this with Tom Homans is she's saying you have an ICE car parked in the wrong place. That's what she's arguing about.
Yeah, that's her whole argument.
Okay, her argument is don't park in places that could upset people. That's what...
Right. Not help us get the criminals off the street.
No. And then Homans and her go back and forth. This is worth the listen. It's a little long, but it's worth the listen.
This morning you have Governor Healy talking about ICE doing enforcement operations at a church. False. Didn't happen.
They were parked there. They did not do an operation there. She said they were parked in a public space legally.
But to say that and to push that out there puts fear in the immigrant community. So let me tell you what's happening.
That puts fear in the community. Right. To park the ICE agent's vehicle
they're on a
near
public
a church.
Street.
They are on a public
street.
She said
they're on a public street,
sir.
waiting to respond to a criminal alien release pulled aside the road. Let me tell you, in the last couple of days, what's happened in Boston. They've arrested Victor Gomez Perez, a 33-year-old criminal alien from Guatemala, with charges of aggravated rape, assault and battery with dangerous weapon, indecent assault and battery on a victim 14 years or younger. They arrested Kaylee Espinosa, a 34-year-old criminal alien from Colombia, with charges of aggravated assault on a pregnant victim. They arrested Joshua Gonzalez, a 24-year-old criminal alien from Dominican Republic, with charges for trafficking heroin, morphine, opium, resisting police, disorderly conduct, and drug distribution. They also arrested Samuel Armando Barrera, a 20-year-old criminal illegal alien from Guatemala, pending charges for assault and battery on a child. So Mayor Wu and Governor Healy, they ought to be calling ICE and thanking them for making their streets safer, for protecting their communities and taking these people off the street. They have turned a blind eye to this. They're sanctuary cities. Sanctuaries, cities, and sanctuary states are sanctuaries for criminals. give ICE access to the jail to arrest a bad guy in the jail rather than have to go in the community to find them. Because when you go in the community and find them, it puts ICE officers at greater risk. It puts the community at greater risk. It puts the alien at greater risk because anything can happen on a street arrest. This is what we're trying to do. We're trying to...
Okay, see, he's just going off. And then they go back and forth with each other a bit more on this, but we'll let it go.
What's it called again? We've been watching Lincoln Lawyer, but what's it called again when you keep going on the stand and
a narrative?
A narrative.
You got to... That's a narrative. Objection, narrative, Your Honor.
Yeah, I mean, Hohen definitely took the narrative there, and I can't believe that Mika Kelly let that happen, but still.
Mika Brzezinski, yeah.
Oh, sorry. Whatever.
The actress did not let that happen.
That's right. Sorry. Yeah, hello. Goodness gracious. Friday Night Lights. Okay. Anyway, another show that's great. All right, so let's move on here to talk a little bit. We mentioned this, I don't know, a couple of months ago on a show, talking about Gen Z and how they're really kind of changing the difference between Gen Z men and Gen Z women and what political party they align themselves and where they land when it comes to like wanting to have a family, for instance, or marriage, right? So it says party lines are dividing Gen Z on big issues that weren't political for their parents and grandparents. It's called kids and marriage. Right?
Yeah, and the poll conducted in August and September by NBC News asked 18 to 29-year-old Americans to choose their top 3 priorities from a list that included a fulfilling career, emotional stability, owning a home, being spiritually grounded, and being debt-free. These numbers are amazing.
Yeah, you look at males that voted for Trump. Number one for them, their number one priority is having children.
Yes. Men. Look at men.
Okay, but I will say, women that voted for Trump, only they ranked having children at number 6. So a little bit down,
kind of midway down.
Kind of midway down. Now you flip, you look at males who voted for Harris, having children way down, a priority at number 10 in their lives, and females way down who voted for Harris down to number 12.
By the way, this should concern, I would think, Democratic Party leaders, because I'm pretty sure procreation is still the way you create more voters. And, you know what I mean? And you look at say, the red side wants to have kids more than the blue side does.
Right.
It's interesting.
All right, it's just they're just basically saying that value systems have kind of changed.
Yeah.
And it's super interesting to me that
and then financial independence, very important to both men and women who are Republicans, fairly important as well to the Democratic side.
Being married is for guys that voted for Trump, they rank at number 4.
Yep.
Women rank it at number 9, which ties with men who voted for Harris at 9, and females, they say being married, kind of a mid, like really one of the least priorities for them is to get married.
And the interesting thing too is, when you look at Democrats and they say having a job or having a fulfilling career, that's number 1 for both men and women on the Democratic side, and very important to them as well, emotional stability and using your talents and resources to help others. So some interesting stuff.
Yeah.
But the kid thing really was fascinating.
Yeah.
Where it's like, Republican men want to have kids. Even more so than anything else.
And we talked about this just with the generation below us, right, or a couple generations below us. We see more and more people saying, I don't want kids. I don't want kids. It's going to be interesting to see.
I hope that changes.
I do too. I hope we can go back to see hey, and I get it. You shouldn't have kids if you don't want kids. Like, I agree with that 100%.
Well, no, agreed. I mean, no one wants to be like, hi, sorry, we're delivering you 4 kids. Well, I'm sorry you don't want them, but you're getting them.
I get that. But I do think all in all, it's a pretty amazing experience for most people. So, okay, we have to cover this. I know you want to cut it, but we don't have time. We're not
cutting anything. We're going. We're going over the hour mark today, people.
UFO. Yeah. Okay, there's some new video out that we tried apparently to shoot one down.
Yes,
and it didn't work.
Yeah.
It bounced off of it or something.
Yeah, we'll show you the video. And this is George Knapp, kind of our guy George Knapp.
George Knapp. If you're looking for a good UFO documentary, just look up George Knapp.
Yes,
right?
That's on Netflix.
It's on Netflix. He checks them out. But this is the New York Post headline. It says shocking radar footage shows Hellfire missile fired by U.S. military bounce off UFO over the ocean.
Yeah, so here it is.
So let's take a look at it.
Yeah, here's the video right here.
And I'll just read a little bit of the copy. It says the speeding object was paced by a 100-pound Hellfire air-to-ground round fired by
Boom, there it is.
An MQ-9 drone, which made contact and bounced right off.
Bounced right off. I mean, it's craziness.
Yeah, this was in October of 2024, by the way. So I don't know. I just think... George Knapp says there's a server where there's a whole bank of these kinds of videos that Congress has not been allowed to see.
Well, and we'll take one more look at this because it is kind of amazing.
Kind of fast, but if you look at this missile,
comes in from the north. In other words, the top of the screen, boom, right there, and then it just keeps going.
Yeah, it just kind of nicks it and bounces off of it. So, again, I still want more information about. I keep saying that. I want all the information about all the craziness that we're seeing on the East Coast.
So we'll see, but we're starting to see more and more stuff come out, right?
Right.
And more detail come out on this stuff.
So we'll see.
I don't know. It's amazing.
Yeah, here's what I think we could cut. We could cut Sunday game video.
We're not, because I got some great stuff. Okay, so first of all, one of the things on game day that we had not seen so far was a bobcat. That was not what we seen. So I tell you what, this week was a big bobcat week up in the northern mountains. We've had a lot of rain up there. And so I repositioned one of the cameras, and I got this little fella that showed up right on the cam. Look at him right there. Look at his little bobcat legs, little bobcat tail, right? He comes walking across. Okay, so you see him.
And what people don't know is that Mark has secretly wanted he wants to raise bobcats.
I would love to.
Which I think is insanity.
I'm not going to lie.
Huskies and bobcats.
Yeah.
I know.
I love it.
But we're going to stick with Huskies.
So, number 2. So, 2 days later, different camera, middle of the night. Here, check this guy out. He appears to be far bigger. Now, I wondered at first if this could be a lynx. I don't think that it is. It's just a bobcat. But you see him. He's a big dude.
Yeah,
Look at the size of him.
I'm never going to be able to walk alone.
I mean, look how big he is. Look how thick he is. I mean, big fella. Just look at him standing there.
Yeah,
he's
posing. He's giving you a little pose. So
I mean, just look at him.
He's a
beauty.
I heard that Mark wanted to see me on camera, and so I've decided to pose for you. So here you go, everybody.
I mean, yeah. So you can see like the tufts on his ears aren't quite what a lynx would be, but man, when I saw that, I was like, holy cow. Okay.
Yeah.
And then the reposition
this
continues.
is in Africa, by the way, guys.
the reposition continues. Elk right in front of my other camera.
Yeah.
And
nursing.
then a little guy, getting a little help from mom, a little milk. Little milk action.
And
right
again,
there.
I love that they're just frozen right in front of the camera.
Yeah. I think it's fantastic. Mom's like, all right, hurry this up. Come on. You're almost like a teenager. What are you doing here? And then mom starts to walk off. Yeah. So that's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. It's definitely active up there. It's never dull on your game cameras. So.
I mean, it is. I mean, the game cameras, I'm sorry, but I am loving the game.
They're great. Oh, okay. Really fast. Sorry. This just came in from our videographer up in the Angel Fire area, John Beck.
Yes.
Okay. This is a shot of Wheeler Peak. First snow, ladies and gentlemen. We have to show this to you.
Talk about literally you finding the breaking news and throwing it in right now. Incredible.
Yeah. I mean, it's gorgeous out there. So we definitely want to be promoting anything we can with snow in New Mexico. It's very exciting. So thank you guys so much for joining us and spending some time with us. If you like, sign up for our emails on our website at nodoubtaboutitpodcast.com. And if you want to leave a comment for us, make sure you like and subscribe on our YouTube channel. That's how we find those comments, and we appreciate all of your support. Have a great start to your work week, and we'll see you back here on Wednesday.
You've been listening to the No Doubt About It podcast. We hope you've enjoyed the show. We know we had a blast. Make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon, but in the meantime, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook at No Doubt About It Podcast.
No doubt about it.
The No Doubt About It podcast is a Choose Adventure Media production. See you next time on No Doubt About It.
There is no doubt about it.